Okay, so I've taped up my box, my little, whatever you call this thing, this little case. So I've put my painter's tape on there, and this is that just a cheap roll at Dollar Tree. Works real good for everything I use it for. And so what I did was I just took my carpenter square and just kind of used the edge of the case and just drew a line and then tried to kind of follow. So once you get that line, you can see I kind of tried to follow it all along, but you got these buckles and things that won't allow you to really use your carpenter square perfectly square, but as long as you get it close, it'll be fine. Okay, so one of the things when we're cutting, especially when you're cutting attache cases, a lot of times they'll have an aluminum rim either on the outside or inside. You can cut through that with your skill saw. We're going to use a skill saw and cut on that line that we marked. So there is this metal buckle. I did try to come just to the outside of that metal buckle, but if I clip that a little bit with my saw blade, it's not the end of the world. But do be mindful that when you're cutting these things, you know, this one is all cardboard on the inside, so we don't have to concern ourselves with that. But that might just be something mindful to keep in mind. Now, this has, I don't think it's really going to concern me too much, but you can see these buckles would get in my way of my skill saw. Whereas if I used a jigsaw, these buckles would not get in the way of the jigsaw. So, but could you use a jigsaw? I think you could for this project, but we're going to use the skill saw. And we're just going to cut on those two lines first and get a feel for how this material is going to act to the blade. My skill saw blade is not super sharp, but I think it'll be good enough for this project. So let me go ahead and make my first cut with the skill saw, and I'm just going to do it by hand. So no guides or nothing. I've got a line there, and I'm just going to follow that line and cut it. So let me get that done and see what kind of results we get. So there's my first cut, and it looks reasonably good. So now I'm just going to kind of set it up on in here and just kind of try and follow that cut along. Again, I have kind of a bit of a guide, and just go all the way around till this is completely off. So I just kind of followed along with the line that I drew, and you can see now that that is pretty straight across there. So I think that's going to work out pretty good. Now here you might consider using a jigsaw. I'm just going to, because you got this big buckle that's in our way, so we're going to have to actually hold our saw up a little bit to cut that last little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my skill saw. But if you had a jigsaw, you could just use the jigsaw for that last little bit. But I was surprised that those lines lined up pretty good, so I was happy about that. So let me go ahead and just nip that off, and we'll move on. Okay, there's our first little shelf. How cool is that? And so now what we're going to do is we are going to have to build. It really depends on how complicated you want to make it. A lot of times when I'm building these, I will actually build a whole little backer that will connect to this, and then be able to hang it on the wall. So I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do that. You wouldn't have to go to that extreme. You know, if you were using this for yourself, you could just literally put a cleat on the wall, stick that on the wall, a couple of brad nails, and literally it'd be done like a floating shelf, right? But I'm making these for myself, and for the purpose of this video, I want to show you, what you might do if you were going to sell these, so people could very easily mount these when they got them home. So that's what we're going to go ahead and show you how to do. But let me get this other one cut up hard, and then we'll move on from there. I was just going to show you that we cut all the way around again, and you can see that our lines do pretty well line up, and so we just got that last little bit to hit, and then we'll have our second shelf. You know, really we could have left this deep and just cut off the one end and left that buckle on there also, but I had a specific purpose where I wanted these the same depth and not very deep, because like I said, these are going to wind up in my living room, but I just wanted to show you, you could have just left this that whole depth and had that extra buckle there, not a problem. Okay, I went ahead and tore out the inside, that red stuff that was in here, and it's interesting that our box looks like the sides were wood and the top and the bottom were either, I don't know, some type of hardboard. I really don't know. It doesn't look like it's wood necessarily. I really don't know. Cardboard or MDF, I really don't know. But at any rate, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take off our painter's tape, and then we're going to build a little block that will fit in here. And I'm just going to use fence pickets because that's what I have plenty of. But you might, want to use something different as well. You could use a piece of plywood. You could even use just a really, you could use just about anything to mount this. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is show you, we're going to rip a piece of fence picket to this height and this width, cut a piece this wide, and I'll show you exactly. I'm going to use the French cleat system to hang these, and I'll explain more about what that is once we get these two blocks made first. All right, we'll bring you up to speed on where we're at now. So this fits perfectly inside this box, and I put this cleat on. So I've ripped the piece in my table saw at a 45-degree angle, and that's what they call a French cleat. So I've attached that with a few 1-inch staples because I'm using fence picket for this. And so when we put our cleat on our wall, it's basically going to sit just like that. Okay, so this will be mounted to our wall, and it'll just hang on there. So I'm going to go ahead and install this on the back here, and then I'll attach this to the wall so you can actually see how it hangs and everything. All right, so we've taken our tape off, and you can see we have a fairly clean edge now, and we just dropped in a couple of brads. I'm not sure what size I'm using, maybe 1.25 inch brads, and we same thing on this side here. And the main thing you want to do is your cleat you want flush with your back, okay? And so this would be just inset a little bit, the thickness of our cleat, same thing on the sides, and then we can just snap our top on, run a couple of brads in there. And then I'll probably flip it over, put a couple of brads on the bottom side as well. All right, so now we have our brads put in all the way around. Now we're going to hang it up and stage it and show you what it looks like. So there is the finished product, and I think you can see those pretty cute looking little setup there, and that's kind of how I intend to use it. I've got some little collectibles and things that I'll use the shelves for, but you can see that it's really simple. See how that cleat's mounted to the wall, and then this cleat is kind of opposite of that, so it literally just sits right on there. So when you just want to make sure that's level, and then that will just literally sit right on there just like that. So I will provide, that's how I make these boxes up, and then I'll give them a cleat that they can mount to their wall and just set their box on it. And that is a very strong setup and very, very simple. And it's just a matter of adding your little decorative pieces, and there you go. So the box cost me, I think the box was $5, and it's why I picked it up. I just thought they'd be kind of cool looking little vintage setup. And I think you could easily sell that for $40. The grouping with the 2 boxes, because it is unique. Retro's in these days, and you know, you could use that in the bathroom. You could use it in the living room. You can use it, you know, little display setup, really wherever you want to. So, hope you like this one. Hope you try it out. Start looking for some of those old vintage makeup cases and things, and just try it out. See what you think. See if they're a seller for you. If you have it staged up like this and have some good pictures, I think you'll find that they would make good sellers for you. Thanks for watching.